And there are a lot of good machines out there.
There really are, yes.
Yeah.
Dick, did you upgrade or did you purchase a new one?
Well, that's kind of a complicated question. When you say purchase a new one, you imply everything is new. Well, what I did was the case had a fan that was a critical fan that was to keep it cool that had failed and could not be replaced. So I wound up having to replace the case. And what I finally wound up doing was I replaced the case, the motherboard, the processor, the memory, and I had 2 disk drives, and I replaced both of them. But the graphics card and the other, the power supply and so forth, I just moved over the ones that I had because they were working just fine. So mostly it's new, but there's still some old parts.
How much did that all cost you?
One, I've got a couple of old cases with power supplies. You can gut them and rebuild them if you want to.
What'd you say about the power supply, Ken? I didn't hear you.
I've got a couple of old cases and they have the power supplies in them.
Yeah.
So you don't have to buy any power supply, but you need a new motherboard and everything goes with it.
Right.
But
well, the cost, of course, would depend on the level of components you put in. And I put in an i7 processor and 16 gig of memory. So it was about $1,300.
That's not bad. I built one in May that is an i7 high-end multiple processor, 64 gig, and an 8070 video board, which is a big pole in the tent. That thing is $700, but it goes very fast. It's got a dual radiator for cooling of the processor, and it's a speedy machine. I can get about 500 and some odd gigahertz, almost 600 gigahertz out of it. So it'll chug right along. But when I run my simulators now, I don't have problems with frame rates. I get 120 frames a second. So that's what I was worried about. That's a high-end machine, but you don't have to build it. I've got cases that are just standard cases, got the blowers in them, everything. So if you want one, just let me know.
One of the things you may want to think about is what kind of drives you put in there. I put in one terabyte solid state drive and a 2 terabyte hard drive.
Good sense.
That too will affect your price.
That's a good sense. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, I opted to go with a 4 terabyte solid state drive. I'm not sure. I could have gone 2 with a 2 terabyte regular drive, mechanical drive, but I decided just to go with SSD all the way and just have one drive.
That's probably
Did you use the NVMe solid states to plug into the motherboard?
I did not. I got a regular drive.
And I did. I put mine into the motherboard.
Well, I've got 3 other 2 gigahertz drives, though, or 2 terabyte drives. So I got lots of storage, but I was thinking of speed again for the simulator stuff.
Well, it's kind of fun. You get to play with all the different speeds and sizes and so forth and decide what it is that you'd like to have and future-proof it as much as you possibly can. Of course, as soon as you buy it, it's obsolete.
Oh, yeah. I put the latest AMD Threadripper processor on mine, and they just came out with the next generation, announced it this last week.
Yep.
Built-in obsolescence.
Yep.
It'll do me. It'll probably be my last desktop, given that the previous one lasted about 10 years.
When clients of mine used to whine about what you were just talking about, I bought it and went out of date immediately. It was the old model. I used to tell them, well, you can go buy a $150,000 Mercedes And I promise you, within the next 364 days, it'll be the old model.
You know what bothers me most about all that is all the old stuff we're throwing in a landfill, and we're just cluttering up the environment.
Oh, if you do that, if you're getting rid of gear, take it down to the Staples, and they'll dispose of it appropriately. So you're not filling up a landfill with rare earths.
Yeah, I turn my old stuff into to the company that fixed it, that made the new one, and they said they recycle it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, we have a refurb group that does a lot of refurbishing. They also get donations that are useless. And they have a company that comes twice a week to take all the stuff, and it does get recycled. It does not go to the landfill.
Yeah, that's the way. Absolutely.
Yeah, and by the way, the Sarasota group does have a great refurbish organization and volunteers, and they give away hundreds, if not thousands, of refurbished computers to local people and local organizations. And it's been harder and harder to get them because companies aren't giving them up like they used to.
Well, frankly, I'm one of those people that don't give it up too quickly. The computer that the gentleman was talking about, my main computer was built locally. I had it built when I retired. I thought it would be my last computer, and that was 16 years ago. And I'm proud to tell you, boast if you want to say, that from dead cold to desktop ready to go is 17 seconds.
You or the computer?
Both of them.
That's what Judy's going to talk about.
And on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Stan, and we'll cut the crosstalk. And Stan, it's your meeting.
Okay.
It's been fun again, and I'm going to stay and learn about what's coming to me, I guess.
Yep. And I'm going to turn it right over to Judy Taylour, and her topic is digital asset estate planning.
Don't forget to record, Stan.
Safe
It is recording.
after you've died. So, Judy, thank you very much for offering to make this presentation to us today. I'm going to make you a co-host, so you have control of the Zoom, and I'll do that right now. Let me figure out how to get there. All right, participants, and that's not where I want it to be. All right, I'm in it, and find more, and
You want me to do it?
yeah, I think you'll have to. I don't have the choice. I have Spotlight for everyone allowed to record multi-pin, but I don't have co-host. So if you would do that, Huey, that'd be great.
Done. Judy, it's yours. We don't hear you. Okay, there you go.
Hear me.
Now we hear you.
Okay. If the guy who was still here that said that you talked too loud, here comes another one. Huey and I both, I think, are using our teacher voices. But thanks, Stan, for inviting me, and Huey for the very informative presentation as usual. I'm Judy Taylour, and I'm in Southern California, 35 miles northwest of Los Angeles. And I call this my living presentation about death, because almost every single time when I give it, somebody has a statement, hey, why don't you include that? So it grows all of the time. I'm going to share my screen, and off we go. I'll do it the old-fashioned way here. Okay, digital estate planning. Our identity isn't necessarily safe now. Huey has had his stolen before. I don't know if anybody else has, but even after we're dead, we have that possibility that it can be stolen. And I'm here as a member of the Speakers Bureau, and it's a benefit of any group's membership in APCUG. And we have many presentations. I just updated my list, and there's lots of new ones. Huey is one of the group's favorite presenters. He's also listed there, hoping you come up with some more new presentations for us. So how much of our life is virtual? Well, all of it, really, for us. And I don't think we know anybody who doesn't have a computer or a tablet or a smartphone, a smartwatch or something. They might not use it the way we use it, but everybody and their brother. Movie, picture, file in the cloud is considered one of our digital assets. So what happens if we die and no one can get them back? And at this day and age, our estate can get stuck in digital probate, because digital probate and digital asset executors are a new thing, and it's still up for grabs on how everything works. So, broadly defined, information about us that's electronic, posted online, stored in a device, whether it's a USB drive, external hard drive, or hard drive. What are assets? Again, computers, tablets, wrist technology, phones, wherever we have anything stored. And now almost everybody is also in the cloud, one way or another. So the year after we die, it's one of the most vulnerable times for identity theft. You'd think everybody would just leave us alone. A death is a public record. So the bad actors, as they're called now, go through recently deceased records. They easily can create a fake identity. I gave this to the Sun City Center Computer Club. And the next day when I was reading in my local little newspaper, there was an obit, and I looked at that and I thought, oh my gosh, they've got enough information in there for somebody savvy to do ID theft instantly just from their bio. So we need to learn how to manage our virtual life after death and get our privacy, identity, and reputation protected even after we're no longer here. And you mostly don't want your heirs caught up in a long, drawn-out probate process. Like I said, it's still being legally defined. So our personal information is stolen to commit fraudulent acts as the same thing that when our ID is stolen now. When you're dead, they can do exactly the same thing, get a new driver's license, new credit cards. Why, with my advanced stage, they would want to apply for employment, but apparently they could. They can take over our IRS accounts, and if we have refunds coming or anything, they'll get those instead of our heirs. It's called ghosting. You have problems with your estate, the creditors come after your heirs, lenders are being fooled, and some of our money can be lost, never to be found again. So when you are putting your obit together, please don't include too much identifying information. It's published in newsletters and online. Anybody can access it from anywhere in the world. And if you have a tribute on your, page that where you were buried, my son has been gone for almost 10 years, and his sisters and I were very careful about what we put up there. And I checked it a couple of months ago, and the same stuff is there for Randy. And I looked at it and I thought, pat yourself on the back. You guys did a really good job. It doesn't have any information that identifies anybody else. It's all about him. It's always going to be there. So here's an obit form from my newspaper. This is the information that they want: date of death, place of death, cause of death. Does anybody really need to know what I died from? Truly. Do they care? Is it any of their business? I'm just not here anymore. Do they need to know where I died? Well, again, I live in the Santa Clarita Valley. If I was in a hospital out of this, what difference does it make? And you never want to do your date of birth, your birthplace, your parents' names. If they get your mother's maiden name, that is a huge step towards ID theft. Do they really need to know the year we graduated from high school or divorced, whatever? I don't think anybody really cares that I worked in the legal department or human resources and that I was a tech teacher for 20 plus years. What difference does that make now? It does round me out a little bit, but still, again, the HR and the legal was 1,000 years ago. You got your awards, your accomplishments, your memberships, volunteer positions. Why do we need to put the dates? The other things are up to you. But if you are, the one thing you don't want to do is like put your identifying dates so they can figure out how old you are and search for you that way. What are records? It's amazing what you can find, even with the Social Security Department, how much information you could find. I looked up my dad and my brothers and their Social Security numbers were there. And I thought, oh, happy joy about that. So they use the information to set up new accounts in our name. Those are the thing that sets them on their merry way, being able to do that. And I know none of you have your pet's name in your passwords. Oftentimes in the obits, they will, in my case, survived by Mr. Meeks and Moxie Girl, her 2 cats. Really, come on. But I know you guys don't include that in any way, shape, or form because you know better. But this is all they need. And they can purchase their Social Security number on the internet for as little as $10. And that source is AARP. If they're going to buy it, I would hope that it would be a lot more than $10, but I guess it isn't. So I don't want a thief to become me and rack up a lot of charges, open new accounts, and trash my identity. Hasn't happened now. I don't want it to happen when I'm no longer here. So Facebook, email accounts, they're likely to outlive us. So we need to manage our digital legacy now. And it may be the trickiest part of our estate planning. We need to know everything that we're involved with. Failure to plan ahead. Hey, our kids' family cannot get family photos or videos. They don't have the usernames or passwords. Settling our final bills and more, they're up a creek because, again, they don't have that information. I've heard of people having to go through this for over a year trying to unravel everything. And I wanted to make it very simple for my executor to do. She can sit down at the computer and whip through everything. So you have to be aware each online service provider, of course, has its own terms of service. They all handle it differently when we're no longer here. And Fed and state laws, another hurdle. And we want to make sure that our digital executor doesn't violate any terms of service stored under the Stored Communications Act. Always little tips like that they need to know. And both Fed and state laws, of course, are to protect our digital assets from unauthorized access, to protect us against fraud and ID theft. They can create obstacles for our family members, again, if they don't have our information. The laws are rapidly changing, so what's here today is new next week. And I would suggest that if your executor is not thoroughly computer literate, so to speak, that you have one that knows the ins and outs of technology and the cloud and things like that. And of course, the laws aren't standardized across the United States. Many of you who live in Florida also reside in another state. You're going to need to look up the information and for both states, just to make sure you have everything, the way it conforms to 2 different states. They're all different. And then there's the Uniform Law Commission, and they're trying to help standardize everything. And you know how long it would take to get through 52 states? A long time. So we need to start with a list. And you think to yourself, how much am I online? Here's some graphics, but many of us have a gazillion more things that we have accounts online. And we need to start writing them down. If you have a password manager, that's great already. But if you don't, you should. But list. So cloud storage, photo storage, credit card, frequent flyer, loyalty programs, all of those different things. Usernames and passwords are required. And I thought to myself, oh, I don't have this. And then I went, oh, yeah, remember you got that a long time ago, but you really haven't used it recently. Okay, so I added that to my list. And you need logins and passwords for all these devices. All the entertainment options you have accounts for, your shopping sites, online banking, and your other financial services, stocks, people like that. You need to have a list with everybody on it. Pay your bills online, money management or tax programs, software subscriptions you pay for monthly or annually. And I thought, I don't think I have many of those. And then the popped up and said 365. Well, that one's, I of course, no, but things that I have paid 2 years ago. And it comes up and I'm thinking, oh, that's right. I did put that automatic renewal. So I need to write that information down. And then all of our social media stuff that we are involved in. And if you have a podcast or a YouTube channel, websites or e-commerce stores, who gets the rights to the monetary assets? So create a list of your online accounts and ask yourself, do you really need all of them? Have you had some for a gazillion years and hasn't used them for a long time? So be a good person, close them, and save your digital executor time and possibly tears because it's taking so long to go through everything. I had a Yahoo account that I specifically used for my tech students because SBC Global and AT&T were really Yahoo accounts. So I had to have screenshots for handouts and everything. This is one of the ones that I checked off as being a good person for my daughter, who's my digital asset executor. I closed it. There was absolutely no reason for me now to keep that open. And I've done that with a few other things. And every time I do it, I pat myself on the back for helping Stacy out. So here's your automatically paid accounts. Do you have photos or photo albums in the cloud? Add them to your list. I had a trunk behind me that came over from Pennsylvania on its way to El Segundo, which is the second, and it was the second oil refinery in California. My dad's dad came over with that trunk, and it had 1.5 tons of pictures of people that I'm the last one in line. I have no clue who they are. And if you know them, people, scam them, add some identifying information. Or what I did, I destroyed all of the pictures because I thought, if I don't know them, why would I want my kids to go through them? So I took the step and I got rid of them. And this is what I learned at the Sarasota group. Have you designated beneficiary if you do genealogy? But by golly, there's 1.5 tons of people out there who do that. So our results will remain in the database after we're gone. So we need to have somebody in our family that does genealogy also and give them access to the DNA wherever it's stored. So my suggestion again is designated digital executor. In order to close your digital presence on the internet, again, they need to know about the different kind of email accounts, whether it's Gmail or I have my first email account, USA.net for 1,000 years. Everything is going to have a different way to close it. Your social media accounts, your online storage. If you have a password on your desktop or your laptop or your tablet, your mobile phones. My kids all have iPhones. I have a Google Pixel, so I have the Android. So she's going to need to know how to, take care of my Android phone. We all are Windows people, so that's no big deal. And your executor needs to know about the popular apps and software that you've got. Do they need to be, shut down, or can you just delete them? And you don't want to include logins or passwords in a will because that's public a document. You can in a living trust. But to make it easier for our digital executor, we could be good people and research how to close our accounts. We could create a list of URLs for the pages where that person would go to close our account. And we could even download the instructions if we wanted to, put it in a document and say, here, this is how you do it. Go for it. So what are you going to use for account information, logins and passwords for everything that needs to be closed? If you're really sharp, you're using a password program as we speak. Other people have their information on an encrypted flash drive. Okay, where is the password for that flash drive? Or they have an encrypted file on their computer or a list in a notebook. One of my members, whenever we would talk about passwords, showed up with a regular size notebook and college ruled paper, and he would open up a page and there was password after password after password, and then he'd start thumbing through, and we were just amazed why the man would have had so many passwords and keep it in a notebook. And after coming to the meeting and the password talk, he finally got a password program and was, a very happy camper instead of having to look everything up in his notebook. Flash drive. One of the groups on the East Coast bought one of these for each of its members. And I just love this graphic because I thought, why in the world would you have a personal address and password logbook? Because you'd have to have it on your computer table if you were using it every day to look up stuff. And it tells, the bad actor who comes in, it's a service tech that is coming into your house to fix something. And I just really question why a tech club would give that to all of their members, unless they were going to put a great big label over it so nobody could see what it said. $60 a year. Many of them are free. This is $60 a year. And they all do the same thing. They create unique passwords. They fill in forms, add your credit card password information, add your answers to the questions and things like that. And of course, you need to give your master password to your digital executor. LastPass is another one that is extremely popular. And it has a single plan as well as a family plan. And both are well under $50 a year. I know Dave Gerber from Sarasota has used RoboForm forever. And I have a member that does not believe in the cloud. It's interesting because he's so technology aware, and yet he does not trust the cloud. RoboForm would be good for him because you can store it on your hard drive. And the new thing with password managers is you can designate someone who can get access to your passwords in the event you are unavailable. You can specify a waiting period or grant them immediate access. One of my members who's moved to the Chicago area was in the hospital unexpectedly in a coma. And it was a lengthy coma. And his wife was going like, how do I do anything? I don't have information. I can't get to the password manager. So he uses LastPass, and his daughter's boyfriend got in touch with LastPass. He could talk their language, told them the situation, and they gave his wife access. And with that, he has demonstrated LastPass to our group. And his comment was, I've learned my lesson. Make sure somebody that's going to need it has the master password to get in. So the digital executor needs access to your phone or email accounts where verification is sent. I have told Stacy which email account to close last because it's the one that gets all of the verification information. You need to create a list of accounts with their backup codes with two-factor. They're generally stored in the same area where you set it up in the first place. So go in and check out the setup menu. Do you need a fingerprint needed to access your phone or your laptop? Research to see if there's another way to access the device. I laughed when he told Stacy, well, she's going to have to take my phone in and where I am there on a slab, but that doesn't work because you have to be alive for it to work. And so I've determined a secondary way that she can get into it. She could try it because if I don't have my finger in the correct place, there's a numerical code that opens the phone. She would have that. And the thing is, we need to remember to keep everything up to date wherever we are saving them. Again, Facebook, various companies might send a verification email that your digital executor needs to respond to. Again, that's what my USA.net is for. And so that set email account and my phone is the last two things that she shuts down. Many websites will help you in putting your lists together. When I was researching this a few years ago, Everplans is one of the sites that came up, and they of course say, we store and share everything important. It's secure digital archive of everything your loved ones will need should something happen to you. And they have a ton and a half of instructions. We're all of an age that we need to make sure that we have all of these set up and ready to go, so to speak. And they have how-tos on all of these. You don't need to log into anything. I was interested in possibly a trial version just for grins so I could see what it does. And there are no trial versions, but they have all of this information on their site and much more. So you can do a lot of your research here if you haven't already done it. And they are state specific. They have the information for Florida, and they would have the information for the other states that you reside in part of the year. Ready to go. So if you have to, shut down your email, Everplans has the steps and the link of how it can be done. One thing that everybody needs to have, no matter what, is a Social Security account. And you don't want the bad guys, even now, stealing your ID enough to go into your Social Security account and make it theirs. So even if you're never going to use it, you need to be proactive and make sure nobody else can say they're you. You're going to have a heck of a time proving that you really are who you say you are. Because the answer is, well, but you already set this account up. And of course, they're not going to give you the password. And I gave this presentation to the Glendora group in SoCal. And one of the guys raised his hand and said, that happened to me. He says, I've been working on this for over a year. And they just don't believe I'm who I really am. The same thing with your IRS account. You need to set up an IRS account. Again, if you don't use it, who cares? But you want to set it up before a bad guy can do it, and especially, after you're dead. And remember your password. You're not going to get it anyplace else. They're not going to give it to you. There's not a, gee, I forgot about it type thing. But this is, again, to keep the bad actors from doing it for you. So if you're going to close a Yahoo account with no login and password, your executor is going to have to send a letter containing the request and giving the Yahoo ID. And they're going to have to include a document appointing them as the personal representative or executor of the state and a copy of the death certificate. If you have a password, they go into yahoo.com, enter the password and the CAPTCHA visual code, click the terminate this account button, and it's gone. What would you rather have your executor do? The letter that probably needs to be certified, the death certificate, or easily go in and close it this way. Gmail, next of kin has to contact Google, proof of death required. They take it under review. Hello, I'm no longer here. Why are you reviewing it? They will not share any data. That part's fine. But it's easier to use Google's inactive account manager. I have 2 Gmail accounts, one for the Tech Club, 6 plus APCUG Gmail accounts. So she's going to need to know to send an email to the APCUG president and say, hey, please take mom off all the accounts. But what other organizations need to be notified? How many other groups are you going to belong to in addition to your tech club? They've all got to be notified that you're no longer around. Our president, David Williams, died in July, and I'm monitoring his APCUG account. He gets all kinds of stuff that the rest of us never got. So I've had to notify each and every one that he's no longer with us and that please unsubscribe him from the list. Some of them are good about it. Some of them keep sending 2 or 3 times. So I mark them as spam and don't feel bad about that at all. But it's a pain, you know, but it has to be done. So do you want to be memorialized on Facebook, or do you just want it closed? You need to let Facebook know. And with Twitter, deactivate it. Instagram, deactivate. A family member with Instagram can ask to have the account deleted. Executor can delete your LinkedIn account with a login and password. But again, you need to let them know, I want these closed. I want this information left on sites so people can read it, etc. But it's your choice. If you want to have it in memory of you, you're going to want to make sure that it says what you want it to say and not something that, say, your kids come up with. With Facebook, it takes you verification that the executor is really an immediate member and the executor, your birth certificate, for heaven's sakes, your death certificate, proof that you can do this. Deceased person's name as appears on the account. How did you sign up for it? I'm Judith Joy Taylour in real life, and that's how I appear on every job that I had except for one. For some reason for them, I'm Judy. Judy J. They don't even have my middle name in it. I have never been able to figure out why, but they need to know the name that you use. Of course, it's easy to find the website address. What email did you use? I have several email accounts. They're going to have to be able to get into them and, wait to get something from Facebook or go in and try to change the password, that kind of thing. And if they have the login and password, it's delete my account button, fill in the information. They want the email and the password, and you're out of Facebook, totally. So after we're dead, the criminals are going to contact our relatives from the information you give them in the obituary. They need to be aware of scam calls after it's been published. So do you really want to put all their information in there too? And it's easy for the bad guys to say, hey, mom or dad owes money, or, we owe them money. How do we get in touch with you? We'd love to be able to just, put it into their account. They shouldn't accept items that are delivered requiring immediate payment. The scams that are going now with us extend into after we're no longer here. Nothing is new. It's just that we're not the ones that are taking care of it. So you need to make sure that whoever is your executor, etc., knows about all the scams. If they're not, totally computer literate, they might not have a clue. Oh, gee, mom or dad ordered that. Oh, here's the payment. And they open it up, and of course, there's nothing there. So they're going to have to request, X number of original death certs. Those are the prices in California. I get a kick out of it. It's $15 for a marriage license and $14 for dissolution. But there was that company back there. They wanted a birth certificate. That's not something that, we're normally, going to have lots of copies of. Do they want an original? Will they take a copy? I know I have a copy of, I have my original birth certificate, but would they take a copy of it? Or would my kid have to contact the state and order one? And they need to immediately notify these 4 people immediately. Social Security, IRS, they want a copy of the death cert, DMV, cancel that driver's license immediately. And I suggest the 3 credit bureaus. They say, well, contact one and that's enough. I would have, Stacy will be contacting all 3. She's going to call them. And then that's the statement that she is going to have on my account. And she's going to list her phone number on there to be the contact person. And she's going to follow up with a letter. And she's going to include that information and a copy of the death certificate. She's going to do that times 3. You're going to request, hopefully they will request a copy of your credit report for the whole entire next 12 months, just to double check that somebody didn't slip through the cracks and has stolen your ID and has started opening up accounts in your name. And if it's occurred before they get to this, they need to file a police report in the deceased jurisdiction. They might live in another state, but in my case, my kids all live here, but they would need to file it with the Santa Clarita Sheriff's Department. That's my local PD. And provide evidence of the fraud, like a collection notice, other bills, or credit report, certified letter again, copy of the death certificate. This is why it's so important to do as much as they possibly can and for us to give them as much information as we can so there isn't any ID theft or fraud after we're no longer here. And then they need to request an investigation and get that letter of clearance for the fraudulent death. Yeah. So what I'm going to send you is a PDF of this presentation, a list of where to find stuff when I'm no longer here, and where do you keep your valuable papers? Safe deposit box. Some banks charge up to $150. If your bank does that and you have one, let your executor know to be prepared when they show up at the bank or credit union. They're going to have to fork over $150 to get into your safe deposit box, and on and on. And I have a word table where you can put where everything is. This is kind of designed for when they walk in the front door and go, okay, now where do I go? Where has he or she stored everything? What am I? If they have a list where everything is, it makes it so very much easier for them. And if you're an Excel person, there's the same kind of list. And I am going to stop sharing and see if there are any questions. Bob.
Just a comment. Thanks. Lots of updated information. And I just want to say that you look very, very good for somebody who's 1,000 years old.
That is true. I try. I do try. Any other
would certainly
questions?
Judy,
like to second Bob's thoughts about appreciating your efforts on this. And there really is a whale of a lot of information in there, and challenges to all of us to make it as easy as possible to make it easy for those who are taking care of our affairs after we're gone.
That sounds so much nicer than me after we died. But in my Southern Cal, to the point lingo, it's died.
Huey, who's going to send out her notes? Is that going to be Stan or what?
Yes, I will send it out to the TechSig, and I will make sure that Huey has it. He can send it out to the WinSig mail list that he presents every month.
Well, I have a list of everybody who registered for this meeting as well. And I can send it to everybody that's on the list.
All right, that'd be
So-
great.
I would prefer that those are the people who get it. In my world, if you take the time to attend the presentation, you get the handout. If you don't, you don't.
All right.
That's
Judy?
mom. Okay.
Very nice presentation.
Judy, I've got a question, please, if you've got a second.
Oh, I've got all the time in the world, Michael.
Thank you so much. It's Mike Leach. You speaking today on a subject that is near and dear to my heart. This is something I've been working on. I don't have any other family now, and I don't have a designated surrogate or a power of attorney. I've gone to a lawyer, but she cannot draw up the paper unless I have a designated, I can't even produce a will. I know I could, but it wouldn't be a certified will with all the necessary paperwork. And this was a very good attorney. In fact, Stan knows of her. She is Catherine Flamia here. But the thing is, if I can't find, is there a source, if there's somebody like myself that has no relative or anybody, where can you go that might be able to find somebody, to act as a surrogate?
You have a best friend?
I do not. It's sort of
Um,
strange. I know I've been a solitary individual for quite a while. And the thing is that I run up on, I have opposing views, political, religious, etc. And I cannot get close to anyone because I just don't have anyone that I'm simpatico with at all,
Okay, what I would do is I would read the Where's the Stuff Where I'm Gone,
I'm sorry.
and fill out the Word or the Excel form, whichever is your pleasure. And what you do is when you go through the Where's the Stuff, the walk in the door and they go, oh, Lord, where is everything? Just cross off what does not pertain to you. And I mean, I didn't have any medical stuff in there. And I sent this to Dr. Sexton, the president of the Torrance Group. And he said, Judy, you don't have any medical stuff in here. And I said, okay, please send me what I should put. And fill out, cross off everything, and then go to whichever variety of spreadsheet you want and immediately go through and delete those lines. So you're only working with what you're interested in. Fill in the information, print it out, and you say you have an attorney.
Yes, I do.
Make an appointment, take it in and say, this is what I got. Who do you suggest I have take care of this? There's got to be somebody out there that's not biased that can do it. Maybe he'll say, oh, the attorney down the street will do that for you, or something like that. So you want to get him to refer you to somebody else.
Actually,
And use
she knew of some people that
what?
She knew of some people that do it as a vocation or as a pay fee type thing, which sounds good to me, that they would act in my stead as an independent person. But I have not found one that so far I would want to have do it. I'm not a member of a church. Again, like I say, I'm an unusual bird and no friends and no church, etc. So,
where's your money going?
Pardon?
Where's your money going?
I don't care.
No, you have to designate where it's going.
I know.
You could give it to the Central Florida Computer Society.
Sounds like an idea.
You could give it to
all my friends will be over to shoot me.
How do you CFCS people do him in? Okay. But you need number one, you need to decide where your money is going to go. If you have gotten a lot out of Huey's stuff and all of the stuff for all the years you have belonged, give it to them. The Channel Islands group in Camarillo, west of me, they've had a couple of people die and leave their estates to them. They were the most shocked people in the world. And they too didn't have anybody. Their editor recently died. He died at home and nobody knew it. He didn't have any relatives. His brother had died before him. He gave his money to the computer club. and the Stamp Society that he was involved in. But that's the number one in your thought. And the second thing is get your ducks in a row with the form and take it into that guy and say, here, point me in the right direction to find somebody that will do this for me.
Yeah, I've been hunting, but you know,
No,
COVID.
you don't hunt. You have somebody who knows a lot to hunt. Now, Bob, gee, do you know anything about this?
Let your attorney do the work.
Yeah, that's what you pay him for. My attorney, when I did this, I sent it to him and I asked him, I said, will you put in Stacy as my digital executor? And he emailed me back and he said, huh? And I told him what I'd done. And he said, good grief, can you send me your form? And is it okay if I include it with every person that contacts me to set this up? This was several years ago. And I said, yes. So when he sends his paperwork out, which is like this, he includes all the stuff. He includes the extra stuff that's on here. So you push back on your attorney, or you try another attorney. You give him a call and say, hey, you know, this is my situation. I need help with finding somebody to take care of this.
Right, right. Judy, this has been perfect for me. I really appreciate your presentation, and I want to save any and all, you know, document. Stan, this is important to me. Judy, you've been great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is important to everybody, whether you've done it or not. Most of us have to do it and don't think about it. Any other questions?
Of course, if you hate your kids, it's a great way to get revenge.
That is true, because I'm always telling mine I'm going to cut them out of the will. If they go, yeah, sure, mother.
Power of the pen.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants my
don't
bills
provide-
are welcome to them.
Yeah.
It's even worse when your kids don't want your money.
Oh, my kids don't.
That mine don't either.
They're just regular middle-class kids, 2 teachers, an executive with UCLA Health. And I imagine they will pass all of what they get on to. I have 5 grandsons, C3. I don't see the grandsons that belong to my son. And everybody gets equal. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just didn't split everything up between the 5 of them, because they both say, we don't need it.
That's right.
Okay, fine.
I don't care.
I'd like to make a comment. I have found that most banks are more than willing to act as an executor for your estate. Of course,
Outstanding, Sandy.
they will want a fee, but so will the lawyer. The other thing is that, of course, most people in this group that know me know I'm an avid genealogist. And from your very first part of your presentation, I realize you are not a genealogist, and I respectfully disagree with your statements about the obituary. I think we need to educate people about creating safe passwords, safe accounts, checking their accounts, setting up their documents properly. It's not the obituary that gives it away. That information is out there and it does in other places as well. Don't deny future generations to know who you are and future genealogists to have that information. We as genealogists have asked and sought, and we just do not find proof in the numbers that that's where the theft is coming from, that's where the information is coming from. There's just so many other sources that have the information. It's from people being careless with their passwords, being careless how they set things up, being careless what they share on Facebook, that sort of thing.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch who was speaking.
Sandy.
I'm sorry?
Sandy.
Okay. I might care to speak later if you could help me, and I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Most of this group know me as the past president of the Central Florida Genealogical Society, so they would expect me to have those kind of sentiments. But we just find that that's not where the information is being stolen from. It's just so readily available everywhere else. It really comes down to how you present your information and what you use as passwords and how you keep it.
I
The
didn't get out
problem
of
is
I
so
didn't get
many
out of
people-
Judy's presentation that the information stolen is something that happened after you died. It's stuff that you've left unprotected while you were alive, and that now that you're dead, it's there for everybody to harvest.
We don't
Exactly.
know about
But it's
having,
not, I would still encourage you to put your detailed information in your obituary. Just don't use that information as the entrance to your private accounts.
Michael, who do you bank with?
I'm sorry.
Who do you bank with?
USAA in San Antonio and also locally.
Outstanding. That's who you're going to talk to. Sandy, bypass the attorney and go to your bank and talk to them first. Explain the situation to one of the officers and say, I'm putting a list together of everything. Point me in the right direction. So you're obviously a veteran, so they might have people in the veterans organization that can help you with this.
I may not use USAA. I went bankrupt when I was in the hospital. Navy Federal Credit Union. I didn't leave any debts for them. So and there's a local office. I don't have to go to San Antonio.
Right.
So, but your point is perfect. Yes, I will. Thank you.
And to be honest with everybody here, I'm not even having an obituary. You know, the people who know that I'm no longer around will find out, and I find no need. And on Sandy's part, my genealogy stuff has been done on both branches of the family complete. Mine doesn't appear, but it will. The only person that appears is my son.
If you didn't,
I've always wanted to get into genealogy, but I just haven't had the time. And when I thought about it, I found out it's already been done. I thought, oh, well, good for them. But I have a very narrow family. Idaho Clint, are you Clint Tinsley?
I'm sorry.
Idaho Clint, are you Clint
That's me.
Tinsley?
That's me.
Okay, sorry to hear about your group.
Hear about my what?
Group.
Yeah, I am too. I gotta
And
find another group to join.
Yeah. Well, since we're all online, choose one. We have a group in SoCal that's not meeting, and many of those members have joined other groups. And one of the groups happens to be the Charlotte County group in Florida. So it doesn't make any difference. Any more questions for me? If not, we can say goodbye.
Judy, thank you.
Thank you.
So
Terrific,
much.
Judy. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Bye.
Judy.
Okay, we'll now continue the Central Florida Computer Society meeting. And one of the things that we've done since probably 1975 when we first started, we have something called the Ask It Basket, ASKIT, the ASKIT. Any technical questions, throw it out. We have a group of people that may be able to answer your questions. Or do we have anyone that has any kind of technical question at all that they'd like to pose to the group?
Well, Stan, you've got CenturyLink for a DSL source. Mine has been failing about 3 times a week for the last 2 months. In other words, it will not, it's both my telephone and my internet connection will fail, either one or the other, but lately both. And it turns out that I've been living in this house since 1963, and the wires are just corroded to hell. So anyhow, we found that out, but I told them if they weren't going to fix it, I was going to change the spectrum, and I'm doing that. So, that's going to be my project for the next couple of days, plus a cell phone changeover, plus somebody that I got with my, I have Cricket. It turns out that the number I've been using for the last 5 years belongs to somebody else. And that person has lived here, Atlanta, Colorado, and Las Vegas. And I think I've been tacked a little bit for ID theft in this process. So I've got some problems to try to handle in the next few days. So anyhow, but That's interesting, huh?
Well, I don't know how we missed that one, but the neighborhood that I'm in, I have CenturyLink, but it's not the same as yours because yours is POTS, plain old telephone service. I'm on their fiber optic, so I have the option of getting much higher speed. It's not been going out. The problem is it's going up in price rapidly. I have my TV with them, including set-top boxes and DVRs and that kind of thing, and I'm trying to get rid of them as well. But the spectrum in the area, I see everything on next door is every day people are asking who else is there besides Spectrum because it keeps going out on them.
That is what I'm going to expect, Stan. Exactly that. At least CenturyLink has been fairly stable. I'm almost regretting my decision to make the change.
Yep.
Well, I hate to say it, but I've been pretty lucky with Spectrum. I just upgraded from 100 megabits to 400 megabits, and after one fit and start, they got it up, got it running. It's been dependable. It works. The new system they gave me, the new modem and Wi-Fi, is incredibly better than the other one. I got it all over the house and outside now. And I have 2 phones with them too, but I don't take their TV service. That's direct. I get AT&T for that. But I got to say, I'm pretty happy with them.
I have to agree with Ken. I too have Spectrum, and I've had it for a long time. I have no complaints whatever. Whenever I see in next door complaints about internet service, it's always with our AT&T, which is also available in our neighborhood.
Well, I guess it really does depend on the neighborhood you're in, and keep your fingers crossed, Mike. That's all I can tell you, I guess.
Well, I've been doing on Tech for Seniors on Mondays. I do something called the Starlink Report. I've been updating it. I've got a new one coming tomorrow. They're getting closer and closer to having their public beta, and that's with the Starlink low Earth orbit satellites. They've got 770 of them up so far, and I think they're aiming towards 12,000. And by the end of next year, we should be able to pretty much throughout the country utilize it. We don't know what the price is going to be, but it's supposed to work very well. And the more satellites they put up, the faster and less latency there will be. And I'm anxious to see what's going to happen with it.
Well, that'll be very good for a lot of students that have no internet access.
Absolutely.
And have to do virtual education now and have no access.
I have a Zoom question.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I have a Zoom question.
Okay.
I don't know what's wrong. I've used Zoom quite a bit and hosted several different meetings, but today if I try to share my video, it just freezes and then the program does not respond and I have to get out. I've uninstalled Zoom, I've reinstalled it. I've made sure that no other program is using the camera. And I was wondering if anyone ever had any experience with that, or if you had any other thoughts of what I might try.
This is your own account, correct?
Well, I clicked on a link for your meeting, so it's not my account.
Well, no, then on this, you don't have share screen ability.
No, I'm not trying to share screen, but just turn on my video.
Turn on the video?
Uh-huh. If I click on start video, the whole program will freeze. And I'm on a Windows 10 Surface Pro.
Make sure that you have got the right camera selected.
It's the front camera.
On what, a laptop?
Yeah, Surface.
Yeah, she's Surface Pro.
Yeah.
Okay. What you might want to check is make sure if it's Surface Pro, it's a Microsoft product. Make sure you don't have what's their program?
Skype.
Skype.
Yeah.
Sometimes they automatically start Skype, and it might be running in the background.
It's not. And
Because it sounds like a problem with the internet connection. That's what's making it freeze.
or the fact that the camera is being used. And when she goes to use it, it's, well, I'm being used now. I don't know what to do. And then it freezes.
okay.
That would be I would check to see if something is using your camera.
One other thing you might do is before you start a Zoom call, reboot your machine.
Mm-hmm. That always fixes so many things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sure does.
That's why I wake up in the morning.
You get rebooted.
Well, I'll keep
I
checking.
get rebooted.
Huey, I seem to have done some solution. You're coming in clear as a bell now. I've been using this MacBook and I've gone through my sound settings and my preferences here, and things have cleared up considerably. So I think I was a culprit on the receiving end. And maybe even if you were a little rough in the voice, it was my problem. But I think I've solved some of it here. But now I'm getting you clear as a bell, and I always did get Norbert very clearly as well. So
I'm still getting a little overmodulation from Huey's.
Correct.
Yeah, I gotta figure that out.
it's
It's
contagious.
something to do with my microphone settings, and I've got a Yeti, so I can turn it down on the microphone end. And that's, I think, what I'm going to have to do.
I got one. I don't know if I can play it or not. Let me. We were talking about video editors before. Photoshop has a video editor, and this is a video I made on that. If it will play, we'll see. Oh, nope, not gonna. Okay, well.
Where'd you go, Ken? Come back.
Not even trying.
Come on, Ken.
Oh, there I am.
There you are.
You don't have the sound. You're not sharing sound.
Am I not sharing sound? Okay, let me see how I. Wait a minute. Let me go back here.
Okay, when you start share, there's a box on the bottom left-hand part of the share screen. Click on that. It says use system sound.
Okay, I don't see the share screen.
When you hit the share button.
Where the hell is that?
Oh, wait a minute. You're using ManyCam. Okay, never mind. It's a ManyCam issue.
All right. This was edited with that. It's just a sanding thing. We have multiple sanders, and they have holes in them that use for picking up sanding dust. And I designed a thing that aligns them every time, because if you don't get them aligned right, they cover up the holes, and the dust just flies around. And so I put this up. There's a place on Facebook for putting up things you invent in your shop, and that's what that was. Sorry that didn't play. I'm disappointed in it, but I do have the sound turned on at my end, but I don't hear it either.
No, it's a ManyCam thing, I think.
Could be, yeah. Maybe I don't have it turned up.
Well, I'm going to share my screen for just a moment. I want to show you something here that I did while I was listening to Judy here. I have a picture that I wanted to use, and that's the picture. But I want to use it as a background in Zoom, and of course, I'm right in front of the ducks. So I have a program called Impixio, and by running the program and playing with it, I now have this as the picture. And I moved the ducks very simply and easily using Impixio. I basically outlined the duck and moved it, and then made sure the grass was covered, and it looks like that's where they were.
Yeah, you can see the repeats in it. That's always a problem.
Would you spell the name of what you used, please?
INPIXIO.
Okay, thank you.
And it's not free.
Okay.
But it also removes backgrounds and and so on. Mike has been playing with it too.
It's a good set of programs. They're always offering free packages of programs. Typically, you want to get on their email list, and of course, they'll be sending you tons of spam. But when they do have their sales, it'll be like 9-in-1 photo editing, and then they'll have the key packages that they make available. And then they keep adding other stuff, and you'd say, oh yeah, well, I wish I had that one. So they keep adding little things, and they're always somewhere between 20 and 40 bucks a package to add to it. So
If you're an expert in Photoshop like Ken is, then you don't need these little tools. With this tool, you just kind of wipe what you want to move, and you click a button, and it says, okay, where you want to move it, you move it, and it fills in the spot you moved it from. You're muted, Ken.
Is if you need that done, send it to me and I'll be happy to move it for you.
Oh, it's more fun playing with a program.
Okay, I have a few announcements regarding some upcoming meetings. First of all, the old iSig, now the Apple SIG here locally, which is anything to do with iPads, iPhones, that sort of thing. Their normal meeting day is tomorrow, and they've not been able to make that. They're having it instead on the 4th Monday, which is the 26th. And that's going to be their first physical meeting. They're having it at the Highway Safety Building on East Colonial. It will be joint in that they're going to broadcast it as well. So you can either attend virtually if you don't want to go there physically. So that will be Monday, the 26th. The Board of Directors of the Computer Society meets on the 3rd Thursday, which is this coming Thursday. I will be getting notification and an agenda out on that shortly. The TechSig is the day after the iSig. The 4th Tuesday is now on, the 27th following the Apple SIG. And I think that pretty well covers the upcoming meetings here. Does anyone else have any kind of announcements that they'd like to make at this point?
Yeah, tomorrow is Monday, and it'll be the 29th version or session of Tech for Seniors that Ron Brown and I host. Bob G is one of our regulars, and he's not irregular at all. He's regular, and he does a security session at every meeting. I'm doing something on how to make an animated GIF from PowerPoint slides, and I'm also doing an updated Starlink report tomorrow. And then on Thursday will be our second monthly learning Chromebooks meeting, and that you have to sign up for. And if you don't know how, just contact me and I'll send you the link. And the Tech for Seniors, it's the same meeting link every week. And if you don't have it, it's Tech for Senior, no S at the end, techforsenior.com. And there's a link there that'll give you the information.
Okay, thank you.
Ken, I like your dog. Either that or you turned into a werewolf.
I morph every now and then. I can't help it.
Yeah, I was wondering. What is that, a collie?
He's a Sheltie, yeah, a Shetland collie, like a Shetland pony. They just didn't make full size.
Yeah, it turned into a rabbit.
All right, well, Stan, if there is anything else, you can end the meeting and stop the recording.
All right, I am recording it, and I hit stop there.